You mean you work in a shop? So in Australia and the UK, the store where you get prescription medications from is typically called either a chemist or a pharmacist, which means that when I tell most people that I'm a chemist, they think I work in a store dispensing medication. So I'm going to clear this up once and for all. Pharmacy, pharmacy, pharmacist, pharmacy, pharmacy. The person who is legally allowed to sell prescription drugs in a store is called a pharmacist. They have a degree in pharmacy. They do not have a chemistry degree. They're not technically or in any other way a chemist. Pharmacists are trained to responsibly sell medication and give limited medical advice. Never take medical advice from a chemist.
That's it, red flags. This should help.
A chemist works in a lab, not a shop. They study the structures and reactivities of chemicals. They know nothing about medicine. The drugs you buy at a pharmacist were probably once created by a chemist in a lab. You would start off with a compound, like something like this, and you do a reaction to it to make it into something else, and then you do this over and over again until you think you have something that might be useful as a drug, like something that might slow your heart rate or make pain go away.
Wish I had something to make the pain go away.
Completely different professions, then why is a pharmacist often called a chemist? I tried looking this up, but I couldn't really find a concrete answer. Historically, someone who gives out treatments to cure diseases has either been called a pharmacist, a chemist, a druggist, or an apothecary. So it used to be that the person who gave out the drugs also made them up themselves. So they would go out into the world and they'd collect plants and minerals and sometimes even bits from animals. They would make combinations of these things as powders, liquids or ointments and give them to people to treat their illnesses. So the original pharmacists would actually make up the drugs themselves. But with the increasing knowledge about the world from the scientific revolution, this split into two professions. There were those who knew about atoms and chemicals and knew best how to extract compounds from natural sources and combine these to make new compounds, and those who knew what these compounds did in the body and were allowed to hand them out to people as treatments for their illnesses. So those who make the compounds are chemists, and those who dispense them as drugs are pharmacists. There is a profession that sits between the role of the chemist and the pharmacist in making medication. This is the pharmacologist. A pharmacologist also works in a lab, much like a chemist does. Pharmacologists take the compounds made by the chemists and test them to see what they do in a living system. Their job is to find out things like if the drug will break down in the body into something harmful, how much of the drug you need to absorb for it to fix the symptoms but avoid side effects, and whether or not the drug will work best if you take it as a pill or inject it. The information a pharmacologist finds out is then given to the pharmacist, who uses it to advise you on what kind of medication you should take and how much you should take. So sure, a pharmacist might know some chemistry, and I might know the names of a few drugs, but if we tried to do each other's jobs, someone would probably die. Now you can feel free to go and righteously correct people who talk about getting their medications from a chemist, while I go back to work being a chemist. Yes, you're watching me doing dishes. It's part of my job. If I have to deal with it, so do you.